Alright, what's up guys? I'm trying to do a little bit more vlog style videos. I don't know if you guys are going to like this or not. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of being in front of the camera all the time, but I realize that people do want to talk to someone and connect with someone. So here we go. This is a round 2 prep video. I don't have very much to do since round 1. Luckily, my car worked really well at round 1, and I just don't have much to do. So we'll start talking about that. Basically, I just need to replace my rear brake rotors because they're very thin. They're about to crack through, and they just have a huge lip on them. And I've run them for probably 6 or 7 years now, so it makes sense that they're due. Also, my handbrake brake pads are completely shot. I run Willwood Polymatrix A pads. That's the most aggressive Willwood pad they make for those because I really like to have the e-brake be super reliable and lock, especially when we're booking it at Harris Hill at 130 miles an hour. You really want to be able to rely on that thing. So, going to be doing the Polymatrix A pads. The actual foot brake pads as well are worn out. I was running Hawk DTC 70 foot brake pads back from when I used to do some track driving and stuff, and those are pretty overkill for drifting. I might just put some cheapo pad in it because I have cheapos in the front. And I kind of just don't want to spend a lot of money on it. I'll spend it where it counts on the e-brake pad and get some more Willwood on those. So let's think, what else? I fixed a turbo drain leak before round 1 that I was having. Thanks Fielding for giving me the tip on the right stuff sealant. That was really useful. I'm just showing the car here because I feel like this is too much FaceTime. I don't know. It already feels overwhelming. So I got that leak fixed on the turbo drain, and now I'm just dealing with the brakes. Car's already been aligned since just before round 1 on the laser rack, and I didn't hit anything at all, so I'm pretty sure it's fine. It still drives great. The only other thing I'm going to be doing is my lower O-ring on my injectors, the one that like controls the spacing or in the height within the manifold. It looks really cracked up from the E85 use, and I've only had these injectors in for about a year. So I actually have an old set of injectors that I got that I ran for 4 or 5 years, and those seals are still fine. So I'm just gonna pull the injectors out and swap the seals over from the old ones to these new ones just for peace of mind. Even though there's no boost leak or fuel leak or anything, and it's literally just a spacer, but I want something E85 rated to go back in there. So let's go look at some of that stuff right now. Alright, car's still looking super clean. I'm really happy with it. Considering this was a $400 paint job, 380 bucks at Mako. No, not Mako, Akana, down South Austin. I mean, I can't be happier. You know, that's just awesome. Should I be doing this video? I just realized my entire little interview there was vertical orientation. So here's portrait. I don't know what's better for YouTube viewing since this is all just on my iPhone. Here's the engine bay. It's pretty dirty. The injector seals I'm talking about are just, I don't know if you can see in there. Let's get a light. See that cracked ring right there? That is basically a spacer that prevents the injector from sitting too deep into the intake manifold. And as you can see, on every single injector, they are cracked to shit. So I'm gonna be pulling the fuel rail here in a minute and pull those seals off. And we're gonna put the seals from the old injectors on, which I have here somewhere. Let's see where I put them. Yeah, right here. So these are my old injectors. I swapped these out because I actually had one clog on me. And I just need to have them cleaned. I think I'm gonna send them to my buddy Brad Burnett at Engine Logics in Houston and get him to clean these up for me. But this seal right here is what's cracked on the other injectors. As you can see, these are just fine. They were in the car for probably 4 or 5 years. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pop the fuel rail out and we'll swap those over. Alright, so to do this I have a rallyroad.net fuel rail. That's just 10 millimeters on the manifold. I will probably fast forward or stuff like this. And then we're just going to pop the rail up out of the manifold and hopefully not tear any injector O-rings, because that's always a problem. When you run E85, the fuel dries out all of the rubber in the system. So unless you have ethanol safe rubber or Viton or whatever seals everywhere, they're going to get dried out a bit. And will be more likely to tear. So let's see what else we have to do. So the fuel rail's loose now from the manifold, but the harness, the electrical harness, is still plugged into all the injectors. So I think I can still pop it up with the harness plugged in. I can't remember if it's secured down or not. I don't think it is. Just move this real quick. This is actually my ignition connection. I moved it a little bit so I could get it away from all this heat. It's tucked under this heat shield here. Let's see if I can, I'll have to pause the video and get that loose. All right, so there's a couple connections. Vanos is hooked up here, but I think we might be able to get the rail and the connections high enough that I can replace those seals without disconnecting the Vanos solenoid. It's really not that hard, it's just right here. And then there's another O2 sensor connection at the back. I went ahead and disconnected that. This connection here I kind of have tucked down in here. Be all sneaky like. Let's get this one. Let's see if I can do it one-handed. Probably not. Come on, baby. Nah. I don't think so. Oh, got it. Fuck yeah. Okay. So that's loose. Ignition's loose. Pretty much can just pop the rail up at this point. I think I'm just going to pull on it slightly. Wiggle. Just a little bit at both ends. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Alright, front's out. Looks like we got it. And the injectors actually just came out of their spacers, which is fine. As you can see, there's the injector body itself, and then the spacer piece is what stayed in the manifold. So here's what I was talking about earlier, which my tuner Jordan at RK Tunes reassured me. That lower piece is just a spacer to set the height of the injector. So that's basically that little rubber seal is sealing, but it's really not critical. It's mainly for a space constraint. So they just look a little scary. I'm gonna take them off and put those other fresh looking ones on just for the hell of it. And we'll clean all that up and put it back together. All right, I pulled one of the little spacers out with some needle nose. And as you can see here, whoops, there's the little, the lighting's terrible, dude. Here we go. There's the little rubber piece that's all cracked up, and it's just the height adjustment. Come on, focus. And then there's the lower O-ring, which is actually what seals boost into the manifold. So it's actually not a functional problem, just an aesthetic one. When people look down in there, they're gonna be like, oh, what? Your shit's about to fucking leak fuel. Oh my God. Oh, that one's split in half completely. Nice. So yeah, I'm just gonna replace those real quick, pop them all out, and pop the other ones in. All right. There are all the spacers with their shot little seals. Obviously the lower seal you can see is still fine. Those are totally rated for E85, but I guess the upper ones are not. So swapping back to the other ones, I was able to leave the fuel lines and everything connected, and if you leave the injector seated in the rail, you don't actually lose any fuel, so it kind of keeps it a little bit cleaner if you have the space to do this. I'm going to put the new seats in there and pop this all back down, hook it up, and then probably blow all that area out with air after it's sealed back up, because I don't want to get a bunch of dust and crap into the engine. But it is a little bit dirty in there. I may even wipe the engine bay before round 2. I didn't before round 1 because I was focused on more important stuff like putting on the fender and alignment and fuel pump and stuff like that. So now we just deal with these seals and the brakes and maybe a little bit of washing. Maybe this way? Alright guys, I'm super bad at this whole vlogging thing. I almost started working again. I got the seals swapped over to, or the old seals swapped over to the current spacers, and I was just about to reinstall everything and totally forgot to film. So that'll take a little bit getting used to stop and make sure you guys are up to speed with what I'm doing, rather than me just finish the project and then be like, oh crap, you didn't see any of that. So here we go. Alright, so I very carefully pulled the seals off of the old injectors, just kind of worked them over the lower O-ring. They just sit up a little bit higher up here. So I worked it over that. Actually, no, they sit right there, whatever. And then I cleaned the spacers that were in the car. Just ran some water through them, wiped them down real well, sprayed them off, and then put these seals on. I'm about to put these caps back down into the manifold in their corresponding holes. But before I do that, I want to make sure I don't tear any injector O-rings or anything. So that's this lower O-ring here. That's what's going to be sliding down into the manifold. So to do that, I just get a little bit of oil and just kind of dip them in a little bit of oil. You can actually put quite a bit less than that. Just put a little on your finger, but I only have one hand available here. So just oil those up slightly, and I'll just go ahead and do one actually. The upper seal that I replaced actually doesn't sit down into anything. It is literally a height spacer. So that's why it wasn't super critical to replace this. More of a cosmetic thing, but whatever, we did it anyway. And that's it. So it just pops down in like that. And now I have a nice uncracked seal. I'm gonna go ahead and do that, repeat for the other 5 cylinders. And then I'm gonna lubricate these O-rings as well. That's the upper injector O-ring, or actually it's still not the upper. The upper's up in the rail, but another O-ring that goes down and seals into the spacer, just so we don't tear those. This one's a little bit out of place. Make sure these are all in place properly. And we'll do that and put it back together. All right, got all the seats popped in. Now I'm just gonna use my finger to dab a little bit of oil onto these O-rings here, and then we'll just seat them back down and bolt it up. Alrighty, got everything seated, popped all back together. As you can see, they're the good seals now. We never took loose any electrical at the connectors, or at the injectors rather. All we have to reconnect here is the Vanos solenoid. And I should go ahead and probably bolt the rail down. Let me get these bolts. That guy right there. Okay. Now we just snug that up. It's not a lot of torque because it's going into an aluminum insert in a plastic manifold. So remember, these manifolds are plastic. They only hold so much. Tons of boost, but just don't strip any threads. Okay, that's good. Sometimes I even use a torque wrench on even basic stuff like this because I'll end up accidentally putting slightly too much on it and pulling threads. And that's good way to ruin your day. Okay, so now I'm just gonna hook back up the Vanos at the front, the O2 sensor back here, that plug, and the ignition, and then we'll fire it up, make sure there's no leaks, and everything's good to go. All right, we got everything all buttoned back up, got the Vanos hooked up at the front, O2 at the back, and the ignition right there. Now we'll just go ahead and hop in the car, fire it up, and see if we have any leaks. Actually, you know what's smarter if I just turn the fuel pumps on. That way, there is a leak. Spark. I just see oil from where I lubricated the rings. I don't see any active leaks. I think we're good to go. Sucking the battery down like crazy with all 3 fuel pumps running. Sorry, car. All right. Just give that a rest for a second. I always thought this is cool. Yeah. Kind of dumb, kind of cool, whatever. AIM allows you to do it, I'm doing it. Okay. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. That was just a quick little swap. Wasn't really super necessary or anything. I just wanted to do that just for peace of mind. I'll show you what we're doing next here in just a second. I'm going to work on the rear brakes. It's going to be a part 2 of this round 2 prep video. Even though I'm not doing much, I'm just new to editing videos and how much content to include for each thing. So that was today's. Tomorrow will be the rear brakes, and I'll show you how bad those look right now. Alright, we'll take a look at what we're going to be getting into tomorrow. That's this rear brake situation. So, as you can see, the rotors, it's kind of hard to see the lip on them, but they have a very significant lip on both the inside and outside. And there's my Willwoods. Probably can't see the pad depth, it's way too far in there, but we'll get into that tomorrow, and that'll be next. Alright, if you guys made it all the way this far, thank you so much for watching. I'm not sure how much FaceTime you guys want or what you want to see, if you want me to explain things or just show stuff I'm doing. I feel like it adds a cool level of information behind the scenes of like competition and how things go and who the drivers are and all that stuff. So if you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up, give me a comment, a like. If you didn't enjoy it, let me know what I can improve upon. I know the audio when I do the front facing camera is like much worse than when you're just talking to me like this. So maybe I can improve upon that. I don't really want to purchase any camera equipment or anything. I kind of want to just keep this really simple and see if people enjoy it. So thanks for watching, and tune in to part 2 where we tackle the rear brakes. See you next time.